Well, shalom. This is Haftarah ki Tavo. I don't believe that I've recorded this one yet. And it is a particularly interesting Haftarah coming from Isaiah and chapter 60. And actually, you might recognize if you know the old song. Well, it's not really old to me, but Sisu et Yerushalayim. One of the verses uses the fourth verse rather. Seisa viv einayich urei kulam nikbetzu uva'ulach. That much of the verse is one of the verses of that song. It is the last of the Haftarot of consolation after Tisha B'Av, and here we go. Kumi ori kiva oreich uchevod Adonai alayich zarach ki hinei hachoshech yichase eretz va'arafel leumim ve'alayich yizrach Adonai uchevodo alayich yera'eh. I'll just mention the second word of verse 2, hachoshech. In most texts, newer texts might give you two dots, one for the chet and one for the shin. But texts like the one I'm using assume that you know that it couldn't be accented without a vowel. So the dot is shared for the shin, the dagesh above the shin on the right-hand side is also an O, a cholam, for the chet. So hachoshech is correct, the darkness. Moving on to verse 3. V'halechu goyim le'orech u'melachim le'nogah zarchech she'i saviv einayich urei kulam nikbetzu va'ulach banayich merachok yavo'u uvenotayich al tzad te'amana. Ahas tir'i v'nahart ufachad v'rachad v'vavech ki yehafech alayich hamon yam chel goyim yavo'u lach shif'at gemalim techasech bichrei midyan ve'efa kulam misheva yavo'u zahav ulevona yisa'u utehilot Adonai yivaseru kol tzon kedar yikavtzu lach elei nevayot yesharatunech ya'alu al ratzon mizbechi uveit tifarti afaer mi'ele ka'av te'ufena v'chayonim el arubotehem. And those are two accents on that last word, arubotehem. Accent on the bow and the hem. Now comes a munach the garmet, it's technically called. It has that line after it. That's called the garmet. And so the munach before is munach, and then munach revi'i. By the way, if you had that line afterwards, but not another munach and revi'i, it would not be called a munach the garmet, and it would not be chanted any differently. That's according to the tradition I was taught. So, kili iyim yikavu va'oniyot tarshish barishona lehavihi vanayich merachok kaspam uzehavam itaham l'shem Adonai Elohayich v'likadosh Yisrael kifeyarach uvanu v'nei nechar chomotayich umalchehem yesharatunech ki v'chitzpi hikitich u'birtzoni richamtich ופתחו שערייך תמיד, יומם ולילה לא ייסגרו, להביא אלייך חיל גויים, ומלכיהם נהוגים. כי הגוי והממלכה אשר לא יעבדוך יאבדו, והגויים חרוב יחרבו, כבוד הלבנון אלייך יבוא בראש, תדהר ותאשור יחדיו, לפאר מקום מקדשי ומקום רגלי achabed. Also, towards the beginning of this verse, you have a tavir by itself on berosh. So sometimes folks who have difficulty getting that tune when it's not with a dargah tavir, right? You have dargah followed usually by tavir. Maybe you'll have to practice by having the dargah just in your head. Tavir. Or take a moment on the bit to sort of get it in your head. So after you do, Elayich yavou berosh, see if that helps. Moving along, Vehalchu Elayich shechoach b'nei me'anayich vehishtachavu, same thing, vehishtachavu al kapohot raglayich kol menaatzayich vekaru lach ir Adonai Sion Kedosh Yisrael. And yes, if you're really going to be exact, the accent should be on the kar of the karu. Vekaru lach, that's where the accent goes. However, that's not an example where everybody's going to have practically a heart attack in synagogue if you say vikaru instead of vikaru. Moving along, we're on Tet Vav, which is 16. Okay? No, 15. Excuse me. Tachat heyotech azuva usenua ve'ein over ve'samtich Ligaon olam mesos dor vador vayanakt chalev goyim veshod melachim tinaki v'yadaat ki ani Adonai Moshiach v'go alech Avir Yaakov. Now, most texts will have ki and ani as two separate words with two separate tropes. But in this case, I would treat it almost like it's one word and only use the mapach. Ki ani, you don't have to do ki ani. That'll be awkward. And I think it'll be fine that way. Moving on to 17. Tachat hanechoshet avi zahav v'tachat habarzel avi chesef. Again, accent on the a of the word avi. Avi chesef v'tachat ha'etzim nechoshet v'tachat ha'avanim barzel v'sametihi Fekudatech shalom v'nogesayich tzedakah lo yishama ohod chamas be'artzech shod v'shever b'gevulayich v'karat yeshua chomotayich u'she'arayich tehillah. Lo yielach od hashemesh leor olam ulenoga hayareach lo yair lach v'hayalach Adonai leor yomam ve'lo hayich letifartech lo yavo od shimshech v'reichech lo yeasef ki Adonai yelach leor olam v'shalemu yemei evlech. This is another verse from the song Sisurat Yerushalayim. Ve'amech kulam tzadikim le'olam yirshu aharetz. And that's where it ends in that song. Neitzer mata'ai ma'aseh yadai lehitpa'er hakaton yela elef v'hatzair legoy atzum. Now comes the big ending. Ani Adonai be'itah achishena. Okay, good luck.